Hey guys, long time no see. Today we're going to be reviewing the 2025 film Dog Man. Yep, been a minute since I've done a review, been a lot of stuff in life happening. I've been really focused on the World of Football YouTube channel. You guys can go check out the fun stuff we're doing over there. Obviously, this is kind of like my side hustle. This is kind of like what I do for fun. And it's been a while since I got to talk about movies. I saw this movie Dog Man the other night, and I kind of wanted to do a new style of review, give it a shot, and see what people think. Just get some feedback and see how it works in editing and posting it and all that. So let's just get into it. So this film, Dogman, is directed by Peter Hastings, written by Peter Hastings, based off of the superhero comedy comic book called Dogman. It's the same name. It's a children's series written by Dave Pilkey. I've never read it. I've seen it, but I've never read it. But went and checked it out. And look, this is obviously it's a kids' film, so I think if you're a hardcore cinema person, I don't know what you think about going into this. When I went into this, I was definitely thinking it wasn't going to amount to much, but we'll get to that in a second. But I want to kind of talk about what's down here now at the bottom of the screen. And that is my new, I'm going to actually unveil my grading sheet as we go through the film. I usually used to just keep it behind the scenes, and it was just for me, and then I give you a final score at the end. But now you're going to kind of see going forward how I get to that. And then off to the side here, you're going to see what constitutes for how I get to the letter grade. So yeah, there we go. So without further ado, we're going to start with the first category, and that first category is the story. Look, I wasn't sure what I was going to make of the story. You see the trailers, it is very cheesy and kind of cringy, and the premise essentially of the dog of the cop gets into the dog and the cop get into an accident, and the physicians just decide, well, why don't we just take the dog's head, put it on the man's body, and there we go. So it, all in the trailer, I'm just like, this is going to be cringy and it makes no sense. I get it's a kid's story and you got to get from point A to point B somehow to get Dog Man, but it was still, I wasn't sure how it was going to work. In the movie, it maybe the first 10 minutes to get right through it, and it wasn't as cringe as I thought, but it still made me go and ask a lot of questions like, okay, so now this dude's just, his head's gone, but his body has now got a dog head on it. And there's a lot of other weird things that go around that too in the movie. They sort of address some of them. They kind of just let some stuff go. It's a little depressing, really, when you think about it. But they just keep pushing through with the fun kids story. And then once you get your Dogman character backstory set up in 10 minutes, then we can get on to what the movie is really about. And when we get into that, it was actually kind of interesting. The bad guy, Pete the Cat, voiced by Pete Davidson, who we'll talk about in a second, was actually an interesting villain. And they actually tackled some stuff with his character that I was like, wow, this is okay. The movie isn't so much about Dogman, it is also about Petey, this villainous cat, and everything that comes with him, and how he clones himself. And I don't want to give too much of the plot, but there's just so much to this film that I was like, wow, this has got a little more heart, a little more thought to it than I anticipated. Which was kind of refreshing, especially going into it thinking I was going to need an alcoholic beverage to get through it. And luckily, I didn't. I didn't even need an alcoholic beverage to get through it, and I might have kind of enjoyed it. So yeah, story's going to get a 7 out of 10. Now we move on to the acting. So I highlighted 5 performances in this voice cast. So out of 50 points here is how this is going to work. The first being the director, Peter Hastings, actually voices Dogman and Officer Knight, the officer that is the guy before Dogman's head gets put on him. It's a lot of woofing and gruffing, no actual dialogue other than when he's the officer at the beginning of the movie. So hard to really grade. I gave him a 7 out of 10. I mean, it wasn't terrible. I mean, he conveyed a lot with just woofing, and I was a little bit surprised by that. Pete Davidson, I think, was the best performer of the lot. He plays Petey the cat. I gave him 8.5 out of 10. I thought his voice performance was great. He gave a little bit more range than I anticipated, and I really do like Pete Davidson. I know I kind of never really got him at first, but now, I think he's actually developed into a pretty good actor. I think his voice here works, and he gave a lot of character to this cat. I actually enjoyed that. Then Lucas Hopkins Calderon plays Lil Petey. He's like a clone version of Petey, and there's a whole dynamic between Lil Petey and Big Petey. Again, never reading the source material. Don't know how much people know about that or what was shown in the trailers from what I remember. So this was an interesting dynamic. I thought he did a great job as Lil Petey. I gave him 8 out of 10. Nice, strong, solid performance. Then playing the chief is Lil Ray Howery. Howery? I've seen him in a bunch of different stuff. He's usually fun, very high energy, and he brings that same thing to this movie. It was a little grating for me at times. I don't think his character got a whole lot to do in this, so I gave him a 7 out of 10. Not terrible. And then Ricky Gervais plays Flippy the Fish. I like Ricky Gervais quite a bit. Again, I don't think they gave him as much to do, but when he's on screen and it's his voice, I like what he did with it. I gave him an 8 out of 10. And yeah, there's even Isla Fisher who's in the movie. I didn't put her in this because her character is very one note, barely in the movie, I feel, at times, or at least not enough to warrant grading that vocal performance in this scale. So overall, the acting overall is going to get 38.5 out of 50. Normally, I would grade cinematography. Some animated films have a cinematographer, some don't. This one did not list a cinematographer, so I am leaving this category as a incomplete. So this category isn't going to count towards the final grade of the film, but would normally get a possible score out of 10. We're going to jump to the special effects or the animation, and I like the animation style in this. I wasn't sure when I saw the trailers if I would or not, but I actually quite enjoyed it. I feel like from what I remember of seeing from the graphic novel or the books, it looked pretty faithful to it, and they did a lot of cool, fun visual gags that I quite enjoyed and surprised me quite a bit. So I'm going to give that an 8.5 out of 10. We're going to move on over to the editing now. The edit, I mean, the film's only roughly like an hour and a half, so it's a very quick, breezy film. I do think it moved very well. I'm going to give it a solid 4 out of 5. I'm only going to give 5 to the editing. I give 5 to the soundtrack because I don't think you need a big score there for that. I mean, editing's pretty simple. It's either it's good or it's bad, and it could be a little in between. So I don't know if there's as much range there. So that's how I do that. So editing is a 4. Like I said, it was tight, and I liked a lot of the visual stuff and how certain scenes kind of moved. Because of the way the gags were working, the editing was quick, it was frenetic, and I think it worked a lot, and I think they did a very good job with that. The score / soundtrack, out of 5 possible points here, I'm giving it a 3.5. It wasn't super memorable, but it wasn't anything terrible. I'm sure there were moments that I definitely was tapping my foot along to whatever song they had playing. So I think, and it's a kids movie, they always got some sort of upbeat, catchy song or tune at several points in the film to kind of keep kids' attention. And clearly it got mine a couple of times, but not enough to remember exactly what it was. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5 for that one. And then the final category, out of possible 10 points, is the direction. So again, the director here, who I mentioned up top, Peter Hastings, I think it seems like it's a very faithful adaptation. I went with my girlfriend's daughter. She quite enjoyed this film. I believe she gave it a 10 out of 10 when we walked out of the theater. So clearly it did something right with the audience it is targeted to. I definitely don't think it was a terribly made movie. There's a lot of strengths to it. A lot of the weaknesses for me come from that story that he also helped write. But I think the direction here, though, it was better than I expected. I think it did a lot of things I wasn't expecting. Like a lot of the emotion, a lot of the character stuff was really decent and well done at times. So I'm going to give the direction an 8 out of 10, which gives us our final score here, a 69.5 out of a possible 90 points, giving it a 77.22% grade, which equates to a C+ on my grading scale. Yep, that is my review for Dogman. What do you guys think? Do you agree, disagree? What do you think about my grading scale? Yes, I know all film is subjective, and everybody's scores will be different, and maybe you guys would add more actors to the actor category. Maybe you wouldn't. I don't know. Everybody, like, the whole point of this scale is it can be tailored to you and how you would see a movie. But I feel like these are the broad main categories when judging a film across genres in the same sort of fashion. Kind of, taking a comedy or a hardcore drama and kind of almost putting them on the same playing field and judging them according to what type of film that is on this scale. So let me know how you guys feel about that. I'm trying to keep these reviews a little shorter, so we'll see how this ends up in the edit. But thank you for checking it out, guys. We'll see if I get another review up coming soon. The next movie I'm planning to see is Captain America, so I'll probably see you guys around then. And until next time, guys, I'll be seeing you.